Shalom Avrocha. So we know that the video uploads. We also know that after 21 minutes, it kind of like that's when that's its max. So fine, we're going to keep it to much shorter than that. Just a couple of words that as we are entering in deeper into the month of Chodesh El, and Chodesh El is Ani Lidodi V'Dedili. It's a beautiful time. It's like the roses. There opens up, and it has the. It's being held by the Zohar talks about it by the five fingers, which is the petals, which is the green leaves that hold the rose, and from there it opens up. So too, we are held. There is we have these. The pieces, the gevuras that are holding this potential rose that opens up, and then from there comes out a rose. So throughout in our journey, as we are journeying through this amazing journey, it's not always so amazing, but to say the least, let's just say it's amazing, because at the end of the day, once we get into the when there are the moments of peace, peace and alignment, it's a good feeling. It's a feeling of accomplishment. So we're just ultimately going through, and as we're going through, what we're experiencing over here is that we are really living in a state of pollution. There is a lot of what's happening, and a lot of what is our perception is of what's going on is just pollution. It's not really the reality, and we have to be very we have to go all the way with this, because to understand this, otherwise it just turns into some concept that we throw around, that this world is just a dimyan and it's a dream and it's not real. And it's like, how is it not real when everything that I'm dealing with seems to be very real? It's as real as you can cut it with a knife. That's how thick it is. But Im Kol Zeh is that we have to get into, if we get to the Nakuda, if we get to the Nakuda HaPnimi, if we get to the source of what's happening, to the core of self, then a lot of it starts making sense. It may not make sense at the moment. At the moment, you may enter in a space of calmness and of peace and zen and understanding, but slowly it starts, opening up, removing stuff. It starts clearing stuff, and also it's like veins that they start running into different directions, and eventually they come together, and then we venture out again, and then they come together again. But ultimately, when we're getting into that nakuda pnimis, we're getting into that inner point, that center point inside, that's where it's kulam aguda achas. That's where we all meet together, because that is the center of the consciousness that we all meet, and that's the klal of the Ratzon Shabaratzon. It's the will of the will. So there's two types of wills. There's the will that I am building my house with the details how I want it, and then there is the will that I just want a house, which the details are not necessarily in that in that klal. We don't have all the pratim, all the details, and not what type of window I want to have in my house. But when I actually build a house and I put in a square window versus a round window, and I'm like, nah, this feels more right to me. Why does it feel more right to me? Because it aligns with my first will, my first ratzon. And we can talk about that, but I just wanted to put it out there. So Chodesh Elul. So Chodesh Elul is a time of, what are we talking about? So we're going to talk about a piece of Reb Nachman. As we're getting closer to Rosh Hashanah, Reb Nachman is all about Rosh Hashanah. So he's talking there about the begin of Bas Hoysel Avram Avinu, Bakol Shema, and Baz ze beginnes Basain, then Ashukha Sheba'in, Shuhu beginnes Ashachris, Shu Mitzamtzim Magbo Kol Bats Makaladur Magdalam in the Nagdik, May Har Gadol Shem of Basain, Shukha Sheba'in, as I Nigba Kolo Herbetach Basain, Shroy Eske Shachashman, Mitzamtzim Magdalam. Okay, what is he talking about? He's talking about the black in the eye, the dot in the eye, which he's asking a question. How is it that this black point in the eye is able to see everything. He can see huge mountains, he can see the ocean, he can see endless view, all in this black of the eye. How does that work? Does everything fit into something that is so small? So what's happening over here is something very fascinating, where Machman is pulling down the curtain and revealing to us what's happening behind the scenes, and is really telling us that he's taking us into the initial Ratzon. He's taking us into the first Ratzon. Okay? What does that mean? So what he's saying, as we know, there's a black hole, and if you look up in science, the black hole is something that they're saying that anything that gets into the black hole just disappears. Like it can swallow up a whole planet. Everything can get in there and just disappears. Why? They call it, they have all types of explanations on it, but really what it is it's called symptom. Symptom means that there is a restriction. And the symptom is, what's happening here is that the symptom is infinite. It's let's just say for the sake of what we need to, the point that we want to make, it is the Ratzon of the Ratzon. It's the klal, it's the will of everything, and it goes deeper than that. It goes into the place of where it goes in a place of Ein Sof. It's infinite. So if I'm dealing with something that's infinite, then you're putting anything that's finite, anything that has a gevul, that has a limitation, is going to be swallowed up by the limitless one, right? The one that's bigger takes out the one that's smaller. So if the child, to the child, $1 is the whole world, but to the adult, $1 is nothing. It's $100 that is his limitation, or there is $1 million or $1 billion or $1 trillion, whatever the number is. So that expansion swallows up whatever is in the gevul, whatever is in the limitation. So what's happening over here is that Rachman is telling us that when you're looking at the mountain, when you're looking at something that is very big and big, that's taken up a lot of space, you're tapping into, you're seeing it from a place of the infinite from within. So I'm tapping into my infinite, and that's what Rachman also says. If you're having a hard day, if you're having some sort of going through a moment of negativity, look up into the sky. Why? Because my negativity is when I'm in my small mind, my mechanekatness in my square. And when I'm looking into the sky, which is endless, it opens up, and that is like the billionaire looking at $1. All right. So what are we talking about here? So we're going into anything and everything that we are dealing with is when we're going through the process of the year, we're in the small Ratzon, we're in the small will, we're in the detail, but the detail doesn't necessarily align with the bigger plan. The second will doesn't align with the bigger will. When I'm going through my life and I'm starting to see things as I'm building and as I'm going through this spiel over here, there's things that don't sit right. They don't sit right, and they actually disagree with what it is that I'm trying to. At some point, we don't even know what we're trying to. But if it doesn't feel right, or if it does feel right, that means that you're seeing it from a place of the infinite part from within. And if I'm tapping into that infinite, that swallows up the problem and it brings it back to one. And so really what's happening here is that we are going into, sometimes we have access to a deeper sense of the will, to a deeper part of the will. The first, going into a deeper part of the will, which is more infinite within myself. It's more Ein Sof. It's more going into the nakuda of my nakuda sachachma, going to the point of my intellect, my essence. I'm tapping into the essence of the consciousness. So from that place, it starts dissolving whatever is in the katnas, whatever is in the small, whatever is in the resistance, whatever is in the limitation. So Chodesh El is the time that we're going in where it's Ani Adodi V'Dili, where there's this massive flow of awareness, a massive flow of connection. It's a time of connection. When we're in connection, then we can accept self. And when I can accept self, when I have more compassion for self, when I'm Ani Adodi V'Dili, when I'm in love with myself, that overpowers and overshadows the limitation. And when it overpowers the limitation, that it's like looking at it from the black of the eye, which is the black of the eye is the part of infinite. And when I'm looking at things from that point, from myself, from the infinite part of myself, then the limitation melts away. And that is that is what we're dealing with in Chodesh El, when there's this presence, which is also that we have this conception that I can't wait for Hashem to listen to me. I can't wait. I'm looking for that moment. We can go through all our lives to wait for that moment that I can have a moment with Hashem. It's like when you are you're going on with somebody that you want to talk to, and he's always an important person, and is always with somebody else, and you're trying to have that moment. You're trying to have that a word, a minute that you can actually have a one-on-one. This is how we view our relationship with our Creator. We can't wait to we're doing all this work that you're doing, you're learning, you're trying to understand, you're meditating, you're putting yourself into Zen, and you're working out, and you're eating right, and all that stuff is all to get myself into the place that I can finally have a moment to ask what I want, when really, once in Chodesh Elul we realize that our Creator is waiting for us. He's been waiting. We are the busy person that He's trying to have a word with. We are this important person that He's trying to have a moment with, that He can actually communicate to. And Chodesh Elul is that time where that's going to be revealed, where you have an opportunity to actually tap into to the deep, find the infinite part within ourselves, that magnetic field, that nothing is too big. Everything can be processed, everything can be seen. Any obstacle that we're encountering is being dissolved, because we have a deeper, the fire, the magnetic field from within, that malchus, that the black in the eye is turned on, and anything and everything that we encounter, that we see, is we're going into the billionaire that looks at a dollar, where it just takes up no space. It just swallows it up. So it's a time of healing. It's a time of connection. When we're connecting, that's when the more we connect, the deeper we're going to the nakuda. We're going into the point of the essence. And when we're connected to the essence, when I understand the essence, that is the first Ratzon, not the second one. That is the bigger plan. When I'm in the bigger plan, then all the smaller things, it's either it fits or it doesn't fit. And if it doesn't fit, it just dissolves itself. It swallows it up and it disappears. So that is what we're dealing with. That's the time right now is the time for that, to really tap into that. And also, as Menachem talks about, we have to have a lot of compassion on our bodies, because the soul knows everything. The soul has all the secrets, and it's no secret to it. When you're having a moment of connection and you're having these imaginations of greatness and goodness, and then you think, when you come back to self, you think that it was just a fantasy. It's not a fantasy. It's a real. Any thought is as real. The only difference between a real thought and a thought that's just a thoughtless thought is if you can execute it or not. So what he's talking about is to have compassion on the body, to have compassion on the guf, so you can reveal the secrets to the guf also. So when you're having a vision, when you're having something that is a deep connection or a machshava, it can be fantasy, but if you bring it into the guf, then it becomes from a fantasy to reality. And Chodesh El is the time where we're having that yichud, where we can connect the soul and the body together, so we can bring our fantasies into reality. So we should all have refuah shalema, that we should all heal, and we should be able to bring our fantasies into reality, healthy fantasies, with a lot of shefa and a lot of healing and whatever is needed to so we can ultimately connect and be entering into a place of oneness, where everything that we're waiting for is already there. We just need to pull it down, and we need to elevate ourselves up to that. Have an awesome day.